What's up, everybody? This is Combo Nation. I am Grown B,
X-Flow.
and we're just coming at you with some more fighting game topics and so much. Here's a little side story. We actually haven't been able to record for really the past 2 months. The hard drive that I keep all of my content on, podcasts, TikTok stuff, YouTube stuff, all of my edits, that hard drive failed like 2 months ago, and so I had to basically buy this program to repair a lot of the files. Some of them wouldn't even, I couldn't recover some of them. Mm-hmm. So basically the only thing I was really focused on after about a month was just getting our podcast files back. And so episode 2, we actually recorded a long time ago. I'm editing together episode 3 as we speak. And then, this is episode 4. And so it has been so much stuff that has gone on since we last actually got some solid recording in. And so now we're jumping back into it. And some of the most exciting stuff has happened since then. So we're just going to jump straight into it. One of the things that I want to start off with just some fun, exciting stuff. So we got to talk about that Marvel game, bro.
Oh man, the big one, bro. Arc Systems is back with a banger,
man. And here's the thing. Here's what I've been thinking about that. This could be bigger than Fighters.
Nah, I think it will be just because of the Marvel IP. You know what I'm saying? We saw it. We've been seeing what Marvel Rivals has done in such a short amount of time of it being out. You know what I mean? Yeah. People flock to that IP. And with a fighting game backed by Arc Systems.
Yeah.
We were speculating for a while, what's going to be Arc Systems' next game? Is it going to be Dragon Ball FighterZ 2? Is it going to be a new anime game? A fighting game? Marvel.
And I think what's happening with that is, one, we got to start to realize, and I talked about this in the podcast with Mitch. I'm realizing that a lot of these companies that can just throw bread around, like Marvel and Sony, DC to an extent, they're starting to realize that there's money in fan service.
Absolutely.
There's money in saying, okay, people want to see these Marvel characters getting fights. We probably don't have the tools and resources and the personnel to put together a game like that. But oh wait, Arc Systems just did something real clean with that Dragon Ball stuff. Let's go to them. And I'm like, as much as we love Dragon Ball and anime and whatnot, Marvel IP, it hits a way broader audience than really what Dragon Ball is gonna pull. So I think that even if they just did that game just as good as Fighters, I think it'll still end up just being bigger because of the IP that it's bringing in.
So I think it's gonna be better.
You think so?
I think 100% it's gonna be better.
I think it is too. I'm already looking at the characters, and one thing that I'm looking at is kind of the animations, right? When somebody throws a punch, how does the punch connect to the other character, and what does it look like? Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things where I don't necessarily like games where a character throws a punch and you can tell it's a high, but then the character model taking the punch does a whoo instead of a ugh. Right. So to me, when the impact of the punches actually look like boxing for real, I really like that. A sweep should sweep your legs, that type of stuff. And so, as I was watching it, I started to realize, oh, man, the way these animations are getting in, the way they're connecting, I'm really liking how they're setting up those fights. And, 4v4, bro?
Insane, bro.
That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, so it's it's almost as if they're taking a little bit of inspiration from everything that they've done, right? Arc Systems, but then it's almost like they took a look at Marvel versus Capcom. You know what I mean? I saw whenever Captain America had jumped up in that showcase trailer, it was a super high jump, and it almost seemed reminiscent of what you would see on Marvel versus Capcom.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of really cool mechanics in those short clips, bro. I was watching and I saw that Spider-Man. He has oh my, so there's all of our characters from Dragon Ball FighterZ are in this game.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
okay.
Like, so,
okay.
like, you seen Iron Man with that big beam, bro, that's one of Goku's Kamehamehas, right?
Yeah.
Spider-Man, he did this thing where his Spidey sense, like, started tingling or whatever, and then he dodged an attack, bro. It's super sick. So, I'm getting more and more hyped for it. You want to do, like, 3 characters that you want to see in here?
Okay, so the 3 characters that I want to see, I definitely want to see Black Panther because I like Black Panther a lot as a character. I haven't been using him in Rivals because I don't play DPS. But I would like to be able to use him in some form, right? So he would definitely be one of my go-tos. So T'Challa, Nightcrawler.
Ooh, shit.
I've always been a big fan of Gambit. So I would like to see Gambit. And I don't know who my fourth would be, but those 3 off rip are definitely some that I want to see.
Scott Summers for me.
Yeah.
Who else did I say, man? Scott Summers for sure. I did say Gambit as well. Then my third one, man. Oh yeah, they already showed Spidey. I wanted Spidey in there.
I wonder if they would put Luke Cage in there as like a brawler / like grappler type dude.
That would be tight.
That would be pretty clean.
Blade would be cool too.
Yeah,
it would be cool to see Blade as well.
But it's like, I think Obi brought this up. I mean, if it's a 4v4, the roster has to be crazy.
Yeah,
roster has to be crazy. So I'm just super excited for that. And again, like, if they're doing fun stuff like this, it's just signaling to other development, other studios, other publishers to be like, okay, like try to one up this, because now it's like, if you're any other gaming studio or any other publisher, you're looking at Disney like, are y'all trying to run the gauntlet? Like, are y'all trying to run are y'all trying to have the best hero shooter, the best fighting game out, the best like. That's looking kind of wild, because the hype of Rivals is still very much like it hasn't really cooled off.
It really hasn't, bro.
Rivals is still big, so they're going for like the jugular with saying, hey. And one thing I like too, and I wish more companies did this, they mentioned the game and then they automatically just right away gave the release window. And there's so many times where we'll hear they'll like companies will breadcrumb like little information about games, and then you just don't get release dates for weeks and weeks.
It's almost
and
like
months.
it's almost like they're trying to get feedback whenever they do that. Whenever they just like give out little breadcrumbs, it's almost like hey, let's give them a little hint, see how they take it, and then we'll give them a little bit more. And it's like almost like they're testing the waters. I think Arc Systems is really good about releasing games. So the fact that we got that time window, they've been working on it. You know what I mean? So like whenever it gets published and released, it's gonna be a complete game off rib, and then they're just gonna add characters.
When you sent into the group chat like Arc Systems Marvel, I was like, oh, okay, maybe they did a little teaser or a poster or something. I was not expecting a full on trailer to be available with the announcement like that, and I think that's just kind of what we need to be able to get excited about stuff again.
Absolutely, bro.
So we got that. We got what's it called? Token Fighters. I've been calling it Marvel Fighters.
Token Fighting Souls.
Some Fighting Souls.
Souls.
Yeah,
yep.
Token Fighting Souls. Man, I'm super excited for that game. That 4v4 is going to be crazy, especially if there's like, what if there's like team ups where like certain types of combo moves are specific for certain characters. Because you know how fighters, it doesn't matter if I could do my level 1 into, I could do, like 17 level 1 into Bardock level 1 into, Frieza level 1. It's all going to look the same no matter what, right? But they could really switch that up to where certain characters have certain types of little team ups similar to kind of what we've seen in like Rivals, and maybe they apply different types of effects, or maybe they have
different visual,
different visuals, different debuffs, different status effects that may change the character that's
I didn't
in.
think about that. What if they do go that route, bro? Where they add like status effects in this fight? Ooh, that'd be cool, bro.
It could be pretty crazy. So I'm super excited. But this isn't the only fighting game that has like kind of started to pick up steam. I think you said what? I think there's an Invincible game.
Invincible, Hunter x Hunter, and then the 2XKO, which is League of Legends. Mm-hmm. So I haven't watched Invincible actually. I meant to tell you that the other day, and I think I played 2 matches of League of Legends. I'm not a fan of it, but that fighting game does look sick because I believe it's 1v1. And I really like the mechanics and how that one's looking. I just haven't really seen too much information that has come out about it. Mm-hmm. I haven't been keeping up with it as well. I just do know that one's in development too.
I think the out of those, the ones that kind of get me excited are of course the Token Fighter Souls, but also like that Hunter x Hunter game could be pretty nice too. That's a 3v3, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a 3v3.
So that one could be pretty cool. I would like to, use Hisoka in there. Hisoka might be kind of rangy if he has like his kind of bungee gum abilities.
Oh, you definitely know he will.
So he's gonna be probably pretty rangy. Gon, Kurapika. I wonder what Kurapika would be like. So those two definitely. Invincible. I never really got into the series.
I never did either. People love it though.
Yeah, people have always been like really big fans of it, and so it just may be another thing where it's like, hey, we got a podcast, so we might as well just pick it up, just see what it's like.
I have high hopes for it just because it's from the developers of Killer Instinct, and I played that for a little bit on the Xbox One whenever I did have it. A lot of buttons. A lot of buttons. A whole lot of buttons. So I'm really interested to see. Maximilian, dude, he seems like it's gonna be promising. He got his hands on it, I believe.
Isn't there like a beta out for that Hunter x Hunter game or something
already?
I think I heard people talking about it, or people were saying like that Gon may have like some broken combo strings or something. So I'm not sure, but either way, Hunter x Hunter, despite the fact that it's one of my least favorite, actually it is. It's my least favorite ending of any fictional story I've ever consumed. But I still love the series enough to be excited about a fighting game for sure. So, I mean, it seems like a solid era. I don't think I've heard of anything like super original coming out. That's what we talked about in the last podcast, just kind of some more original IP characters we've never seen, and people just pulling up to try things off of the aesthetic, off of just the appeal of maybe just presenting certain types of characters.
What would that look like to you?
Man, I think it's tough because one of the things that I think I mentioned, what was that, maybe episode 2, was that we used to walk into arcades and look on screen and see a super cool looking character doing something crazy, and or just a cool combo or a cool move or a setting, and that made us want to run back to our parents if we were in a CC's Pizza and say, hey, let me get 75 cents, I gotta play this game and see what these characters are about.
Yeah,
there's not so much of an organic experience like that anymore, right? You have to kind of really scour to try to like find out where these things are, and I think that makes it harder for more original games with original IPs and stuff to get popular. Even when it comes to like Tekken, I heard that Tekken 8 was the first game in the Tekken series that released that wasn't in an arcade for an extended period of time before coming to console.
I think that's true because remember right before Tekken 7 came out, they had the arcade over there at the mall, the Parks Mall. Me and Mitchell would go up there like every other weekend, and we would play. Yeah, Tekken 8 never did. I've never seen one. Never heard of one either.
So it's just I think we kind of underestimated just how much like arcades used to play into just the appeal of fighting games and some of those newer ones that whereas now I think even people were saying in the comment sections of one of our videos on TikTok, they would just say that like now it may be too financially risky to kind of try new original stories, original characters that people don't know. So everybody just kind of leans into these other IPs, right? What we're seeing with Marvel, what we're seeing with Hunter x Hunter, what we're seeing with Invincible and whatnot. And don't get me wrong, I'm super excited for all of these games, but at the same time, like I, even with all of that, um, I would take a Bloody Roar 4. I would take a Bloody Roar 4. I think I've brought that up probably the third time. I would take a Bloody Roar 4 probably even over that Marvel game right now because of how much I liked those characters. I liked those mechanics. That was a really, really fun game. And sometimes I just feel like if some other games would get a kind of a different little type of push, we may be able to kind of see something like that again. And granted, there's probably a portion of that that's like on me and on us as a community to say, okay, if you really want that, you're gonna have to go out and again kind of scour the internet on it. Maybe I'm gonna have to, because I'm so much of a console guy. That I don't really spend a lot of time looking through Steam and seeing what's just kind of available and what's on there. But maybe those are just kind of different opportunities I'm going to have to try to take advantage of to see what's on there, what's able to have fun with, and that sort of thing too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
it'll be interesting to see what else pops up. That makes me think of Absolver. Did you ever play Absolver?
No, but after you talked about it in that, and I think, what was that, the first episode?
I think I did, yeah.
Yeah, after you talked about it, I went and looked it up, and I was watching some gameplay of it, and it was looking really cool.
Yeah, like, it's cool, the combat system and all that. It's just, like, there wasn't really too much of a story. The characters didn't have any dialogue, but it was something new, it was something fresh, and it was something, it was cool for the moment. It's just, like, I don't know, like, would you like to see something like a RPG series kind of venture into the fighting game space, or just something completely new?
You know what? It's interesting because as you start to talk about that, it made me really think that maybe that ultimately is where it has to go. Instead of a fighting game developer or company or just new kind of like IP of a fighting game in general, instead of going out and being a fighting game, like a PvP type fighting game or a competitive fighting game or even a casual fighting game right away, be a story, right, that has these different characters. Right. Obviously it's going to be a fighting game, but
give people something to get attached to before going into the fighting game,
exactly. So maybe if they pour more into like the story of the fighters, right, and what they have, because honestly I feel like, as much as I think I mentioned it in episode 2, talking about how Mortal Kombat was really big in terms of just having kind of mature content where we're seeing blood, we're seeing gore, we're seeing these kind of crazy, like horrific moves. But I also think that the story behind a lot of the characters, each individual character having their own little journey, their own relationships, their own like factions, tragedies, and all those different things, is a big reason why people wanted to continue to play them.
Absolutely.
Right? So I remember watching that first cutscene where what is his name? It's not Onaga. It's just destroying everything, and then we see Raiden drop down, and he boom blows everything up. Raiden dies, and then we just see Onaga just stand up. I think it was that Deception that Onaga's in. I can't remember, but it's like, man, I'm like, oh, okay, so Raiden is out of the picture. That may have been the game with Chijinko in it, but he's out of the picture. Like, one of the gods couldn't even beat this dude. So what's next? So there was a certain element of it, like, oh, we get attached to the story, we get attached to the characters, and so that translates to everything. And even when you would do like the towers, you pick Sub Zero, you'd go through the tower at the end, you would see that little story with the screenshots or the additional cutscenes. Like, this is what goes on with Sub Zero after he goes through this gauntlet or whatever. And so yeah, I'm thinking maybe RPG, something to really grab people and get them like just excited to learn and play as those characters again too.
Yeah.
So
That's one thing that Street Fighter's always done really good about, you know, just like the story and just the character development and stuff. Because Street Fighter has been making animated movies for a while. You know what I mean? I've watched quite a few of them, but I mean, there's been quite a few of them, and it just helps complement the games and stuff.
I wonder if that's kind of a move too, right?
Like a triple package or something, like a show, game, and then I don't know, something else. You know?
Yeah, like think about it, like for a lot of your favorite shows, like Justice League Unlimited, the original Justice League 7, Young Justice, like some of those cool comic book shows from back in the day, even probably X-Men '98 to a great degree. A lot of the reason why those shows were created was so that they could sell a lot of different merchandise, right? So if you want to create a show like that, yeah, they would want great ratings, but they wouldn't necessarily always make a lot of money off of those shows. But now you have all of these action figures and things in the stores tied to those characters from those TV shows, and that's where they generate tons and tons and tons of revenue.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if like maybe miniseries of characters, right, that they can put together on maybe a short, I don't know, Netflix special or something on Disney Plus, especially if it's, like a Marvel game or something like that. And so people can see these characters that are really from a fighting game, but have another way to kind of consume the story, right, and get people excited about it. So having different touch points in terms of like just the fighting game media in general, as opposed to just the fighting game and just the cutscenes from the fighting game and the story mode there.
Yeah.
So that could be something as well, like just kind of like figuring out, is there more ways to promote the excitement behind original characters than just having to buy the game to get that experience. So who knows? But I'm just very excited for just the next couple of years. Being able to have multiple fighting games in rotation, really good fighting games in rotation, hopefully, coming up. Because I think it's been a minute since we've had like multiple just bangers, right? Maybe Tekken will be doing good one year, MK maybe doing good one year, Street Fighter maybe doing good one year. So I'm just kind of excited to see where this is gonna go, and I think that Marvel Token Souls is gonna be at the top for sure.
I think so as well.
So
sure.
man, those characters though, that's gonna be fun. But
I'm thinking like 26 on the low end, 32 being the perfect medium. Somewhere right in between.
Man, I think they're gonna drop a 50 bomb.
Off rip?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you might be right, because if it's 4v4, yeah.
They might drop a 50 bomb.
They might go crazy, bro. The bag that they have to pull from is
the bag.
deep,
Yeah, the bag
bro.
they have to pull from is crazy. And then again, like I say this about, like I talked about this with Sparking Zero. All of the moves and stuff that you see the characters use, like so much of it is just pulled straight from the animes, straight from what, like Piccolo, the superhero Piccolo DLC.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of his moves is pulled straight out of the show, the movie. And so they even have one where he uses his telekinesis to grab rubble from the battle, put it into a ball, and throw it at his opponent. He has that, right? And so when it comes to the actual development of the characters, they'll have to focus a lot on the mechanics themselves. They'll have to focus a lot on just balancing and whatnot. But as far as like grabbing a character and giving him what 6, 7 abilities or moves or whatever, and some combo strings, I think they'll be able to turn that over quite a bit, because of all the different media that they'll be able to look at. How many different
Exactly.
iterations of Spider-Man you going to be able to look at to create his moves? How many iterations of Venom? Carnage. Oh, I didn't mention Carnage is
Ooh,
somebody that I would definitely
that'd
like
be
to see.
clean. Oh, Colossus. I'd like to
Definitely
see
like to see
Colossus.
Colossus in there. Deadpool.
Oh man, yeah, Deadpool would be fun, bro.
Interestingly enough, Deadpool is not necessarily one of my favorite characters, but he probably would end up being a character that I would use in the game because I like his skill set. I like his moves and abilities. Um, so he's definitely one that he'd probably be one of those like sleepers that I didn't think that I would play necessarily with this character a ton, but I picked him up just because I like his style. I like how he's kind of very resemblant of Deathstroke, which is one of my favorite characters on the
Yeah.
DC side. So I'd probably pick him up too. So just wild stuff, man. Back into kind of how we've been talking about how we just engage with the fighting game community, how we are competitive. We talked a little bit about what it means to be a casual. And in the last episode, what I was kind of just editing just a little while ago, and getting ready to start uploading a lot from that podcast. Um, it's kind of insane what people consider to be competitive spirit.
Right, like what does it mean to compete?
Yeah, and so one of the things that I found interesting, man, I was going back and forth with this dude for really the last couple of days. Every once in a while, I have a moment on social media because I've been doing this for so long. Once in a while, I have a moment in social media where I'm like, you know what?
I got time.
I got time. I'm not gonna let up.
Hmm.
And we were talking about the toxicity amongst gamers, more so the fighting game community. And one of the things that I brought up on my main profile on TikTok was that we're in a totally different era where toxicity hasn't really changed a whole lot in terms of like how people treat one another. But I think the difference between our generation and the new generation of toxic gamers is we would be toxic towards the other team.
Yep.
We would get into a Call of Duty lobby. We would get into a just any type of team based game, Battlefield, Gears of War, whatever, and it may be you would be in a couple of randoms, or half your team and half of another team, but at the end of the day, that's your squad for that moment, and you're going at the other team, and you're talking trash to the other team. Nowadays, these guys are talking a lot of trash and being super toxic, one to the people on their team, but being even more toxic to their own friends in their friend group.
Yeah, I don't know why the redirect happened.
It,
It doesn't make sense to me.
it never made sense. It never made sense to me either. Like for me, it was always about I want to have a good time. I want to make sure my friends have a good time. Like
And if we can win at the same time, good.
if we,
That's the goal.
if we can win at the same time, good. And it goes back to like what we were talking about. People think that being a quote unquote casual means that you don't care about winning, that you don't care about your rank, that you don't care about your record, that you don't care about being successful, that you don't care about your trophies on PlayStation, that you don't care like no, you can care about all those different things and still be casual. And the problem that I think I'm seeing with a lot of people is they have this warped idea of what competitiveness really is.
Absolutely,
Right.
bro.
Just as I was being one of the more popular videos from our last from our last episode was talking about how um, uh, this guy made it really insufferable experience to game with him. And I was going back and forth with this guy in the comments, and he was like, "Well, maybe he just takes it more seriously than you. Maybe he's just more competitive than you." And I'm like, just because you use personal attacks against your teammates that don't have anything to do with the game, just because you don't mind using racist remarks or talking about somebody's looks or talking about things in somebody's personal life to try and get a rise out of them, try to make them uncomfortable,
That's
to try to make
toxic.
them upset, to try to frustrate them. Just because you're willing to do all of those, that doesn't make you more competitive, and it doesn't mean that you take the game more seriously.
Yep, you can compete without saying a word.
You can compete.
You can be the most
without saying a
competitive
word.
person ever without saying anything to your opponent. You can just go out there, do your thing, stomp on them, walk off.
Yeah,
And just keep it like that. Just to keep it a buck. I've been a competitive person my entire life.
yeah.
Since I was probably 5 years old, whenever I started playing soccer at a young age, played sports throughout middle school, throughout high school, always had the competitive spirit. I was never the type to talk mess to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I have many accolades, you know what I'm saying? I can prove it. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to do all that. If you have to do that, good for you. I'm glad that makes you feel better. I'm glad that makes you feel like you're more competitive. You're not. You're toxic, and you just got a mouthpiece on you. That's it.
And it's funny because when I talked about that, and I do want to say this, for the most part, right? People got it, and I do like to acknowledge that. Like, a lot of people in the comment section of that video was like, you don't have to do all this crazy stuff to have fun, right? And the whole video was just about like, man, your character shows up in the way you play.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
your character shows up in the way you play. And a lot of people were just like, yeah, if you're doing certain stuff because you're just an insufferable winner, or insufferable if you need to win and you can't, right? That says a lot. And this one guy, and I knew that I would get these type of comments because I know that so many people were just they never had any other example on how to be. And because they never had any other example on how to be, they create their whole identity around certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one dude was like, oh, well, a lot of y'all are just soft. And I think it's the other way around. I think in order for you to feel like you're ready to compete, in order for you to kind of stroke your competitive ego, you gotta talk down, insulting and shaming to your friend. Like, we'll talk trash to each other, right? I just posted a video laughing. And
Yeah. We're having, and that was funny. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm going to beat you up in this game. Dog.
It's not gonna happen. I'm just letting y'all know. I'm looking directly at you. It's not gonna.
He says this all the time, and it never works. It never works. I think, man. Oh, you know what? I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna stay on track. But
Remember, I got that receipt.
he has a picture. He has a screenshot. I'll put it up. He has a screenshot of me saying, "Too bad you're gonna get clobbered." We're talking about Token. Too bad you're gonna get clobbered. So we'll talk trash to each other, but you see, we're laughing, we're having fun. It's not about ruining someone else's experience.
Yeah, man. It's a brotherhood. It's about, like, yeah, we're talking mess, but that he knows that motivates me. I know whenever I talk trash to him, it motivates him. It's not no ego shit. It's never like that.
And more importantly, if you gotta put in the effort to learn the people that you play with, especially if it's your friends.
Yeah.
There's certain people, like when I used to play with Rainey,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that the way that I would kind of talk trash to like Steve. Steve's one of those guys, you have to talk trash to him, right? Because he's one of those people that gets excited. Again, it's not personal attacks. It's always about the game. It's always on topic. It's never to actually try and make the person feel bad. And I think that's the weird thing that other people kind of take pride in. Yeah. They want you to feel bad. They want you to not have a good experience. They want to see if they can kind of take away your joy in the game. And again, like we were saying, sometimes when it's the other team or when it's strangers, I get where that tool is in your tool belt. But with your friends, it doesn't make sense.
It's weird, right? Because it's like those people that act that way, it's like they're projecting. You know what I mean? Like, they're projecting something inside them that's making them do that to somebody else, bro. Like,
and that's pretty much what I was saying to the other guy. Not the guy that I had a really long conversation with, but this other guy was saying, like, to me, if you need that to feel good about your skills, if you need that even as a competitive advantage against your friends, I think that makes you soft.
Yeah.
More so than anybody else, because you don't have the type of confidence in your skills to say, I really don't gotta go there, right? Especially when it comes to, again, your people, right? Sometimes when it comes to like the true enemy, right? Anything goes, man. You're online. You're on ranked, whatever. I get it. People will use spammy tactics. People will do. There's a certain type of stuff that kind of I don't do, but I still get why somebody would do it in an environment with strangers.
Yeah, with strangers
where you don't know how they're gonna play.
And maybe
right?
and maybe that guy that you had that long conversation with, maybe that friend group he's talking about are online friends. So maybe they don't know each other in real life. Our friend group, we're real friends. We are friends in real life.
Yeah.
And we play the game online with each other. A lot of these new people in this, well, not new people, a lot of the new generation, they don't really know each other. They probably met each other on Call of Duty 8 years ago or something like that. Yeah. And now they're friends, and that's good. You know, that is good. But at the same time, it's like y'all don't have the personal connection that's on this type of level.
And I'll even admit there is something that this person said that kind of set me off a little bit. Obviously I stay in character because at the end of the day, it's just somebody in the comment section. But to try and say that my connection with like you and Mitch and Steve, like our friends, that we're not really friends because we don't insult each other and say mean stuff to each other and try to make each other feel bad. Like he goes into the comment section and it was like, yeah, y'all aren't real friends. Like
we don't need that red pill stuff over here. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like he on some red pill stuff.
It really does. At least that section of red pill that's like we don't gotta talk about our emotions. We don't have kind of honor amongst each other.
I'm just a robot. I'm just going to talk like this.
So that's one part of it that I was like, bro, you're not gonna tell me that because I want my homeboy to have a good time on the game, whether we winning or losing, and I'm not gonna body shame or say racist stuff or just shaming in general, that we not friends. Yeah, you're a complete weirdo for that.
Yeah, bro. That has to be rage bait, bro. It has to be rage bait. Like I'm not gonna
either rage bait or genuinely
just showing, just projecting himself, just doing what he does best. You know, he already explained what him and his friend group do, so it doesn't shock me that he was in the comments doing that.
Yep, and it's funny because people will try to like you get the read. Right, and so I start saying, "Hey, that's y'all," and at first he was like, "No, it's not y'all. I'm just giving you a different perspective." But the more you talk to him, and the more you press, the more you realize, y'all was correct. Yeah, y'all was the pronoun. Yeah, like don't get it twisted. But again, like the whole thing about here's what y'all got to understand about this podcast, and y'all can say whatever the hell y'all want. This podcast is about creating a safer space to have certain types of conversations that are probably unpopular amongst, gamers in general, gaming males more so, right? As we talked about, I think in the last episode, I edited like 3 of them in a row. So when I say I think, it's because I can't remember which episode I was editing it on.
Gotcha.
But it's like, don't want to talk about your feelings, don't want to, be able to say, hey, I don't want my friend to feel bad on the game. Like,
yeah, like what do we play games for? You know what I'm saying? We talked about this before. We play games to either escape from reality or have a good time and connect with people we mess with. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to bring each other down and trying to ruin each other's day and all that mental stuff like, oh, well, if you're not insulting each other or getting under each other's skin, then I guess y'all just aren't real friends. I don't get that. we are well above the age where we should be doing that.
Yeah.
We're not 15. We're not, like, maybe back then that was cool, but this was coming from an adult. Come on, dog. I don't know. You might need to, look in the mirror or something.
And here's the thing, bro. Like, that can be a part of your thing, right? As a gamer. But one of the things that I was just explaining is I'm not going to judge you really for the way that you play, right? I take that back.
But the way that you play kind of reflects who you are.
Exactly. I'll make that judgment. I will make a judgment based on, like, this is the type of person that I think you are. I have to do that in order to set a boundary.
Right. Like,
right. I have to do that in order to say, do you get to come into our PlayStation party or not? So I have to unfortunately pass some sort of judgment on you. It doesn't mean that you ain't in your community doing good work. It don't mean that you don't take care of your kids if you got them. It don't mean that you don't have a good job. Like, you may be a different type of person that may have a different type of impact other places in your life. But, like, one of the things that this guy was trying to I guess push me towards was, if somebody is toxic, if somebody is insulting and shaming and overall, right, a conductor of a negative environment, then I should pull that person aside and coach them up and say, hey, don't do this, don't do that. And, like, you're an adult. You're a grown man or woman, right? And so and there's certain things that when you become a grown man or woman, I shouldn't have to teach you, right, what's not okay.
Yeah, like, what's right from wrong, bro? No way. Like, there's
So, like, for example, right, and he's saying, oh, well, maybe he thought those type of jokes were cool, but they're not. Okay, but if you're in a friend group and nobody else has used personal attacks against their teammates, nobody else has been shaming, nobody else has been racist, nobody else has done that, then maybe read the room and say, okay, well, this may not be the place for whatever. You shouldn't, after the fact, be mean to the people that you game with, be mean with the people that you train with, and then, or insulting to the people that you train with, and then expect them to coddle you, right? And so that's the strange thing about it, and I never understood that part when it came to the guy that I was having that conversation with.
I wonder if some people actually differentiate who they are as a person versus who they are whenever they're on the game. Because I have a feeling that some people actually do that. You know what I mean? Because there are keyboard warriors. You know what I mean? That people that just talk a lot online, but, in real life they probably don't. There might be some people who are a certain way in real life and then hop on the game and all of a sudden they're just acting totally different.
Yeah.
Which would be strange because with me, I'm always trying to be just me all the time, bro. It doesn't matter where I'm at in any type of situation, on the game, off the game, on the internet, off the internet, bro. I'm always going to be me.
And that's my thing too. I will say that I do have a little bit of, like, a persona in a sense. Like, when I talk about myself as Grown B, like, that is the most enriched, competitive, that's the most, like, detail-oriented, focused version of me that shows up in video games. And so, if you know me in different aspects of my life, you'll obviously see that they bleed into each other.
Yeah, it's all a compilation.
It's all me, but, like, Fullerfied is me. But it's more of just who I am, interacting with my friends, interacting with my family, what I think about social issues, societal issues.
Right.
How do I want to educate and coach people? How do I want to joke and make people laugh? Like, what type of impact do I want to have? Like, that is one thing. But then, Grown B is kind of just my gaming persona, how I enjoy and interact with anime, like Kingdom Hearts, like those sort of things. And so, but again, you realize, if you know me for real, that those all kind of bleed into each other. And I think people create, like, these identities and they attach them to specific things. And you see more and more that it's like, oh, you start to realize you don't have a foundation for your friendships outside of these particular things, right? And if you don't have a foundation
Mm.
outside of, like, that's the only way you can say, if y'all don't insult each other, if y'all aren't rude to each other, if y'all aren't trying to, do all these crazy things, then y'all must not be friends. If your mind can't imagine that you may be able to be friends with somebody without doing all that, the foundation of your friendship is just kind of this shallow thing,
Yeah,
right?
that's kind of unfortunate too.
And it is what it is. Sometimes that's just how people's relationships show up. And honestly, even to be real, there's nothing wrong with more shallow touch based friendships. Like there's sometimes people have, hey, those are just the guys that I game with, and maybe you do have a part of you that just wants to, I don't know, be that way, and you use that as your outlet, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But when you start to try to create that as the definition of friendship, right? That you think other people should abide by, or they're the weird ones, or they're not really friends. That's when it becomes kind of strange, and you got to kind of look inward and feel like, why do I think
Like maybe
that I
I'm
gotta
maybe
act?
just maybe I'm wrong here, you know, and that's
Yeah,
okay, bro. Like it's okay to be wrong. I don't really like when people always have to be right about stuff, or whenever people feel just like so entitled to push an opinion as a fact, or just like something that's known. It's like, dude, if that works for you, cool, man. But I don't know. You need to meet some other people, or just hear some other testimonies and stories, and understand you might just be wrong, and that's okay.
yeah, I
You
guess
know.
because I've been wrong many a times
Me too,
in
bro.
life, especially when it comes to friendships, especially when it comes to gaming situations. And one of the things I think that gets in the way, with us sometimes saying is pride, especially in gaming situations.
Yeah.
Fighting game situations too. Like all this different stuff. Just like, I mean, the title of that video was how your character shows up in the way that you play video games, right? And so use these as like learning opportunities a lot of times. But I think this idea where we can't even have regular conversations about like this for a lot of people. There's probably people in the there's probably people pitter pattering their fingers right now in the comment section as they watch this video, thinking that this type of conversation that's kind of emotion based, that kind of has some emotional intelligence requirements out of it, is in some way like not masculine, soft, and all these different things. And it's like, why is that a culture that we want to create around gaming? Why is that a culture that we want to create around fighting games? This is one of the reasons why, right? I like to see different types of people in places of success, right? Like Noah Lyles, him being kind of a nerdy anime type of kid
Hmm.
that is also one of the greatest athletes of all time. You
Absolutely.
know, you can't really say shit to him. He's good at what he does, right? All you can do is really hate, right? Um, you can disagree with some of the way he carries himself sometimes, but I think sometimes we try to just flat place labels on people, and place labels on ourselves. And that, again, I've said this multiple times, is the core of what this podcast is supposed to be about. Where we're not always talking about the meta. We're not always talking about what's the hot new tip or trick to rank up or whatever.
Yeah, this is what the pros are doing. Use
Yeah, if you're
this.
not doing this, you're gonna be stuck in B rank
Yeah.
forever. Like, that's not what this is about. This is about the culture that we've created in fighting games, right? In gaming, can we change that culture? Can we be more accepting of other people, their experiences, those sort of things, right? And some things, right, you learn to distance yourself from some people, but I think and some things you learn to just embrace other people and their differences. But I think what happens is once you even start the conversations, people don't want to take them seriously because, again, when you talk about gaming as an escape, right? Which for some people it is, and it's okay in some ways. What happens is when the escape has problems within it, then you're even more lost, right?
Ooh.
So now it's like, okay, well, I was trying to use this as an escape, but now I'm in a situation where, oh no, maybe I still got to talk about my feelings.
Yeah.
Maybe I still got to manage my relationships with people. Maybe I still have to manage my expectations. Maybe I still have to have like work on character. Like you don't, I don't think just because you load up a video game that you don't that you get to stop working on character.
Yeah, like your character development all of a sudden just
Like,
stops. No,
no.
man, that it's still part of it, man. That's part of the game.
And I feel like as we become more comfortable having these conversations, we just become better communicators when it comes to stuff. We become better thinkers when it comes to stuff. And so now when it's time to fill out that survey, right, for a game, when they're trying to make improvements, we can provide more quality feedback than just being mad.
Yeah.
Right? I think people that I think what happens a lot of times is people only have one or two ways to show up in their gaming experience. Right? Maybe it's the joy of winning, the anger and frustration of being mad, and then the toxicity of what they believe is competitiveness. Right? Yeah. But you come into a gaming experience as a real person, right? And you don't leave like all of your emotions, your frustrations and whatnot. You don't just like leave that at home, right?
Yeah.
You don't take it off before you log in. And so this whole thing is about that. This whole thing is about like, man, how are you approaching the game, right? How are you looking at these as opportunities to like learn about yourself?
Yeah,
right?
man, you can actually like you can improve so many aspects of who you are through gaming if applied correctly.
And this is the part where people are pitter pattering their fingers in the comments saying like, "Oh, y'all taking it too deep." Oh, all right, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
But one of the greatest lessons I had ever learned was through gaming and through my mom, which is about never giving up until you just don't have an opportunity to play anymore, right? But more importantly, like I think that I am able to get better at games, fighting games specifically, because losing has a totally different context in my mind now. Right? I've told that story of me going up against that Damian Wayne Robin. And I said, you know what? I'm going to let him beat me up. Right? Obviously not let him beat me up, but I'm going to play. And if I lose, but I feel like I'm learning something, I'm going to use this opportunity to continue to learn. And eventually, it took me, I think we played for about an hour, but I finally learned that matchup in that hour, you know, and I totally turned it around, right, and started beating that guy consistently. And so it's like, but now it's like, okay, I learned how to lose in a fighting game to get better, to get information, to grow, to evolve as a player. Now, if I lose in something in life, I take that, I learn, I grow as a person, I do better, you know. And so opening ourselves up to that type of stuff. It can still be your life away from the stresses, right, of work, of things that, like for example, what I often use gaming for, I don't think I've ever told you this. What I often use gaming for is, man, sometimes in my life, I feel like I don't have a lot of control, right? And I would do this if my favorite basketball team lost. I would do this if somebody frustrated me or upset me. I would do this if, you know, when I was working, you know, in the actual world as opposed to being an entrepreneur. If my manager would do something I didn't like or just whatever, I was like, man, I want to feel like I'm in control of something. When I get on the game and I have that controller in my hand, I feel like I'm in control of something.
Yeah, it's an extension of yourself.
If I get into a match and I lose, I was still in control. I just lost.
Yeah.
Right? But if I do the right things, I influence the outcome. I don't influence the outcome if my favorite basketball team isn't doing right, if my friends aren't doing a particular thing, if my, but mom makes me upset or just whatever. So much stuff is out of our control. I like to go into a gaming environment where I was like, I'm good enough to control the outcome of what I do. And so I use gaming a lot for that, as that type of escape when I feel like, man, a lot of different things in my life are out of my control. And other people may use it just, man, I want to get away from stress. I want to get away from heartbreak. I want to get away from depression, right? I've used gaming in that instance to try and not feel that depression, right? And that's fine. That can still be the way people use video games.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you got to be careful. All right? You got to be really careful of that, because what happens when, for example, I use, in that same example, me using the games for, trying to be in control. What happens if you get on Rivals and you go 1 for 20, right? Like that screenshot I sent in the freaking group, right? Where I felt like, man, no matter what I do, I can't get the right team. I can't get the right moments, right? So now, what does that do to your gaming experience, right? Is that the only thing that you had stock in when it comes to your gaming experience? Now it crumbles, now it falls, right? And so, for me, I think that escape is going to be okay. But if you're hiding, eventually it will become a problem.
Oh yeah, it'll
if
catch
you're
up
hiding
to you.
from life, if you're hiding from talking about your emotions, if you're hiding from managing your relationship, if you're hiding from working on character flaws, if you're hiding from personal development through gaming, eventually the game itself is going to force you to confront those things. Your life in gaming will force you to confront those things. And it's strange to think about that, right? But it's also opportunities, right? It's also opportunities to use the thing that you love to elevate yourself,
That's super interesting. That made me think of, people still think about this to this day, but whenever we were younger, I used to always hear, like, remnants of people asking, why do you play video games? The only reason why games exist is for, they're just programming you. They're just it's mind control. It's funny to think about how that could be.
Those people will say that and then go watch Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Exactly. Number one. But then at the same time, it's like you could literally like program yourself while playing the game. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you can just program yourself in real life just by what you consume, what you intake, and what you surround yourself by.
Yeah. But I also love how you can use gaming and more specifically fighting game. You can use this so intentionally. I love the confidence boost of realizing that I've mastered a mechanic, or I've mastered a defensive situation, or I've mastered an offensive situation, and to realize that I've put so much time into something that in a particular situation, I can say in many different things, in a particular situation, I'm amongst the best people that can do it, right? Even simple stuff like when Rivals says, hey, your rank is better than 70% of the people who play this video game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who play that game. So for you to get to Plat 2 or whatever, and it says, man, 70%, you're better than, if you go grab 10 people, 7 people you can slide out of the way and say they're not as high as you.
Yeah, just slide to live.
And so you can get to a point where you're really good, and you can use that to give yourself a sense of confidence, a sense of accomplishment. Right. This is why you should set a lot of small goals as it relates to right, getting better. It doesn't always have to be I'm not who I want to be until I'm Z rank, right? Um, and so things like that can help you get like that dopamine release, something that's going to allow you to feel better throughout the day, right? So just thinking about the way that fighting games and our gaming experience really kind of connects with our life is helpful, right? And it's men's mental health awareness month.
True.
And as we've been talking about, right, this is kind of a space, as even as much as women have been a part of it, and as much as women are growing, it's still particularly dominated by men, right? This is one of the best spaces to really be able to talk about mental health,
Yeah, man.
you know, and how we support one another, how we just keep tabs on what's going on with ourselves mental health wise. What do we use inside of our gaming experience to be able to just build ourselves up, right? Do I set little goals so that when I accomplish them I feel good, right? Do I play team-based games so I can learn about communication, right?
That's a good one.
Like, yeah, play team-based games, learn about communication, learn about accepting criticism, right? So that's another thing.
Like being open to it, man. Oh wow, bro.
That's another thing. Like this is probably the side where some of the toxic kind of stuff, people maybe get a different perspective, because sometimes you do want to say, hey, you want to be able to say to your teammate, man, you're not doing this shit right, or you're not doing that shit right? But they have it in like that kind of toxic, like belittling, shaming type of way. But there's a whole other way to be able to kind of approach that, but that also can help teach a person like, oh, okay, learning to accept that criticism and just be better for the team. And then at the same time, that puts it on the other person. Okay, if you're going to get on this person when they're not doing well, if you're going to get on this person when they're not performing, now when they are performing, what do? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you uplift those moments. Make sure you put the spotlight on those moments.
Right.
So there's so much stuff, bro, when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It's not all about frame data.
It's a lot of small things,
yes,
but it makes
bro.
A big impact. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's not. I don't even think that we went deep this time.
No.
Like, there's just a whole bunch of small things that we notice, and
Yeah.
it's just something that can improve the gaming space, the fighting game space, just gaming in general. You know?
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that. Like, we haven't went super deep, but we live in a culture where, again, a lot of men shun away any type of emotional experience, anything that they could be perceived as soft, shun it away. So if you go from here to here, they think that you're deep, right? When we could really be down here in the hey, Combo Nation, we're back. So funny thing, I was like, wouldn't it be cool to record our podcast in 8K? And I looked at my phone and I was like, yeah, I got 60 gigabytes, 50 gigabytes left on my storage. The first podcast is 40 gigabytes. So the camera cut off, and we're picking it back up. But man, one of the things that we were getting into was just that we're not even really getting deep when it comes to this conversation, right? Like, if this is just normal conversation, we've probably taken it down like right here. And to be honest, and this is not a slight at anybody, but to be honest, a lot of people would start saying, "Oh, this is deep," and it's because, again, how foreign a lot of men are when it comes to having any type of emotional conversation, any type of vulnerable conversation is probably the better word.
Yeah,
being vulnerable when it comes to a conversation, vulnerable when it comes to an experience, and again, we've talked about, like, yes, this may be your escape, right, fighting games. This may be your peace, or this may be your comfort food, or whatever. But if it's only that, you kind of put yourself in danger a little bit, because it's only a matter of time before, different types of struggles seep their way into your gaming experience as well. And then you're in a situation where it's like, okay, well, now what do I do? Right? So it can always be your escape. It can always be your safe place, but it can't be your hiding place, right? If you're hiding from your emotions, if you're hiding from the world, if you're hiding from your struggles and your stress and whatnot, you put yourself in a dangerous place if you don't, have another enriching experience that you're tying to the gaming itself.
Yeah, whether it's having fun or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, gaming should be fun at the end of the day. It shouldn't be like you're having a bad day, you get on the game, and then all of a sudden you're having the worst day.
Perfect.
like you know
Perfect.
what I mean?
Yeah. And here's the thing about that too. You can always have fun. And more importantly, when it comes to winning, you can always win, right?
Yep.
You can either win on the quote unquote scoreboard, or you can always look for an opportunity to take something even from your losses, right? So you can win in terms of, hey, I grew as a player, I grew as a fighter, I grew with my character, I learned with this particular combo, or I learned with this particular move or ability, or this defensive setup that I've been struggling with. And you can take those things from losses, right, and turn that into more wins.
Right.
You may learn something in a match that you lost, and end up winning 3 matches over the next 5 or 6 because of something you learned in a loss, right? And so now when you treat it like that, when you don't have this like overly obsession with needing your win to always show up in a W or L column, right? When you kind of release yourself from that, now you can have fun winning and you can have fun losing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
I can honestly say I think some of my funnest matches with you are matches that I lost. Like some of my just absolute like just belly aching laughter, just like just were losses.
Yeah.
Like I have this clip on my TikTok, the Combination Entertainment TikTok, where
Frieza throws a death ball over my head and then I hit you with the super in the air?
No. But don't do that. The one where I think I transform into Golden Frieza, and I see you flying down, right? And I said, oh, and I'm saying this out loud. I'm like, oh, okay, since I'm transforming and I have these invincibility frames, chances are, as soon as you come out of here, I'm gonna down heavy you. But then you trigger Cooler's ult, so when I down heavy you, I get grabbed out of the air and slammed into the ground and blow it up and put in a combo.
So funny, bro.
Like there was,
and that's the thing. I brought that up earlier. You started to catch on to that, where I was scared to throw out the level 3 because he would just see me. I'm like looking dumb, bro. Like I'm posing or something. Damn.
So it's like there's so I can get excited about, again, that mind game, that little bit of a chess match, that part of the fighting game, that part of the honor. That's like, man, if I have an opponent that's good, and I feel like I'm throwing everything at them, and I can see, like, it's so beautiful to be able to see the result of someone's work in real time. And if you really like fighting games for real, as we've said before, there's 2 types of fighting game players. Got people that love fighting games and people that just want to beat people up. When I can see your work in real time because of everything that I'm throwing out, and as far as my arsenal, and seeing how you respond and handle it, That's very, very fun to me.
Yeah.
That creates a very, very exciting experience for me to be able to say, I'm throwing this out, I'm throwing that out, right? Even moments like, I remember one time, and this will seem small to some people, but I did something and I either caught some lag or I had to respond to a situation where it was like a hit confirm into a combo. And I remember that you said, "Man, good improv," right? And it's like this dude knows my fighting style so well that he can tell that this is not a normal thing that I pull out of my bag and can respect that it's something that I made up on the fly
Yep.
based on the situation. That type of connection, right, is probably something you may only get with like a training partner. But that type of stuff is all about that honor, right? That the guy in the comment section in our comment section was talking about. Like that stuff, win, lose, or draw, can put you in a situation where yeah, you lost, but you really won because of the experience. You won because of, man, this just helped me become a much better player. You may have traded that loss for 5 wins in the future,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly.
And so that is one of the beauties of fighting games that honestly, I honestly believe this, that people who are just so dead set on finding exploits or finding spam tactics, I really think they're cheating themselves out of that experience. Right? Because for the most part, when those things don't work, let's just be for real. I think people who spend like not the occasional spammer, but people who are like spam exploit farmers, they will typically, if they're on the lower end of that, like if they're not one of the people, because some people, man, are honestly, they have their own art form when it comes to looking for spam tactics and looking for exploits. They'll always find something. But for the most part, most people, as soon as their thing doesn't work, they're gonna go get on 2K.
Yep.
They're gonna get on FIFA,
Yeah.
right? And so I honestly feel like they're cheating themselves out of such an experience, right? By not giving the wide variety of how much fun you can have based on if you're winning, if you're losing, if you're a good defensive player, if you're a good offensive player, if you like combos, if you like special moves, whatever, right? It's a very expressive game genre, right? And that's what I think is one of the greatest joys of what a fighting game can produce, because and this is unfortunately gets ruined a little bit by kind of like meta farmers or people who always have to go to a YouTube video to find their play style, a YouTube video to find their combos. You don't see as much of their expression. I like to see people's expression when it comes to fighting games. Like you can see it. Like, oh, this person does this type of stuff. This person does that type of stuff. This person uses this character differently than I've seen anybody use this character before. Right? Some people typically don't use these 3 moves. He's using these 3 moves. This is pretty crazy. And so all of this is is just to say that there's so many different ways that you can enjoy the experience of the fighting games that you play. It can be bigger than winning. It can be bigger than losing. It can be bigger than getting better. It can be bigger than perfecting combos. It can be bigger than learning all the frame data. It can be just bigger than all of that, you know? And ultimately, when we talk about culture, right? You and I are among some of the most competitive people, really, that I know, right? But it doesn't have to turn into us insulting each other. It doesn't have to turn into us bashing one another. It doesn't turn into us not appreciating one another for what we do and how we show up. On the flip side of that, right, there's other groups of people like the guy in the comment section that thinks that you don't have a friendship identity unless you're insulting your friends and talking trash to them and doing all that other bullshit.
Which is insane.
Which is insane. Right? That you define your friendship dynamic by that. But again, we don't necessarily have to try to convince anyone else, right? All we have to do is just kind of show up. That's really what culture building is. You show up, right? You operate the way that you think is right? Or you operate a way that you think is healthy, and you just allow people to see that, and then they show up.
Yep.
Right? And that's how you build community, and then that's how you build culture. Yeah, there will always be those people that can show up in their own ways, right? But this podcast for me is about how am I gonna get together with one of my best friends and kind of walk the walk. Because I do a lot of criticism about how toxic I think the community is. But at the end of the day, I'm just talking about how toxic I think the community is. Yeah. Right? What am I implementing? What am I putting into place? What space am I creating for people to learn how to maybe heal a little bit, to where they're not so dependent on their kind of toxic natures with stuff, right? That don't lean into that as much. More importantly, right? If all you've ever known is toxic bullshit, and you've never seen, like, hey, healthy friendship dynamics, healthy gaming dynamics, like, if you've never seen that, like, modeled, right? It's hard to really judge and quote unquote condemn people, right, for it. Like, I don't condemn people, but of course I have to pass some sort of judgment. I have to pass some sort of judgment on absolutely. Your character, right? For sure.
Yeah,
I have to. In order to create a safe space for myself, in order to set boundaries for myself, I have to judge. I have to do some sort of judgment of character. I can't condemn you, right? But I can say, like, this type of player doesn't belong around me, and I'm also going to protect my friends from that type of player.
Yeah.
All right.
Because you've already reflected on, certain aspects about your own character, you know what I mean? So you can pass judgment. That's the only time, casting judgment upon somebody is okay, whenever you've looked at yourself in the mirror and you've already done some of that work.
Yeah. And that's a big thing too, right? There's a lot of stuff that I've done throughout my life that I can say, man, this stuff I was better than this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's what maturing is.
My
and
core
growing.
Character was just better than the output that I was giving.
Yeah.
When it comes to gaming, even when it comes to life. Right? And so it's just so important, I think, for people to be able to just start with a space for the conversations. Instead of anything outside of the next tip, trick, meta, and shit talk. Everything outside of that can't just immediately be slapped with the label of being soft and too serious and too deep, right? And I think as we do that, as we heal through that, we've learned a lot of, just like everything in life, we've learned a lot of ways about how to be as people, how to be as men. That is really important to learn what needs to be unlearned, right?
Yeah.
And certain things have their place.
Man, oh man, bro.
Certain things have their place. Like I said before, right? Part of that pie of the fighting game community and the fighting game culture, a piece of that I think the toxic stuff, right, gives light to every other experience, right? It has a little place. Again, it's like you determine and you kind of move away from, these are my friends, you know? Don't want to be toxic. Don't want to be these different types of things to friends. Um, and then sometimes you even learn just like, man, maybe that's just not me, period. I'll even have a level of respect for the strangers, for my opponents, whatever. Who knows? Um, but I think having toxic people and having toxic tactics and having toxic strategies just somewhere in the community really helps amplify and give light to like the fact that people have another way. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
So it gets you excited about those people and those experiences. Um, but I think it's important, right, for us to be able to have these conversations, to be able to turn this stuff around and at least examine, right? Because after you have the conversation, you can decide, hell no, I think I do want to go back to being whatever, right? I don't think that a lot of people will ultimately kind of take that route, but I do think that a lot of people are just doing what they saw other people do, acting how they saw other people act, and they've never seen. To me, it was very, very strange that guy thought that we didn't even have friendship. He thought that we didn't even have a real friendship because we cared so much about each other's experience that we wouldn't talk shit to him and say things to make him feel bad and shame him and insult him and all this other thing. He thought that we didn't have a real friendship because we weren't willing to do that. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a really warped idea of relationships.
Very.
That your relationship would need something like that to be authentic.
That's why I feel like that was just either rage bait or him just projecting himself.
Yeah.
You know? And if that's something that that you have learned from what you've seen, hey, I mean, gotta unlearn that.
Yeah. And again, unlearning comes from new modeled behavior, right? And having different types of discussions. That's what we want to do with the Kombocast, right? And we may just kind of be like right here when it comes to being deep, but we want to continue over the years,
Yeah.
right? To go deeper and deeper and deeper, and just see what we can uproot to have a healthier gaming experience, right? Because ultimately, that's what it's about. Ultimately, it is how much can you blend your growth, how much can you blend like evolving as a person,
How can
building
you
yourself up,
integrate, you know,
like just your life,
gaining insight,
gaining
understanding.
insight, all of that stuff. Just and ultimately, it's this: you don't stop being a human just because you pick up a controller or you sit down at a keyboard to game.
That part.
You're still a person, right? You're still interacting with these experiences. They're still affecting you in positive ways. They're affecting you in negative ways. There's still moments where you're gonna feel hurt. There's moments you're gonna feel excited. Moments you're gonna feel happy. It's like this is too big of a piece of a lot of men's lives. Whether you spend a lot of time gaming or you spend your most precious time gaming, even if it's a little bit. Some people only get to spend a little bit of their time gaming, but it's their most precious time. Some people get to spend a lot of their time gaming, right? Who knows what it is? But it's enough to be able to start like discussing different things about the fighting game culture that we want to grow from, that we want to possibly like heal from, that we want to possibly just create better environments from, you know? And that's really what all this is about. That's what the Kombocast is really for.
Yeah.
Because I think there's more to experience than, hey, let's meta farm. Who are all the best characters? What's the best combo to use in the game? How are you gonna get to A rank? Like, all those conversations are cool. And there'll probably be some weeks where we really dial in and talk about mechanics and matchups and all that different stuff. But gaming is more than just an escape. right?
Yeah.
And if it's only an escape for you, it's dangerous, right? Because eventually you may have moments where it can't be that, right? And it has to be more than that. And if you're not right, like kind of prepared, um, you know, it 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 sucks, you know.
I think I get what'd you say? You're still a human with a controller.
Yeah,
It's just like, yeah, like we're humans. You know, you're either a human with the spirit or you're a spirit inside the body. Either way, you're still the one in control.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's difference in perspective, and
yeah,
it's about learning. You know, learning that other people feel differently, live different lives, think differently. That's fine. You know what I mean? But there's something to each one teach one. We're all here to learn from each other if we really apply it that way.
yeah.
So
And there's just, I think that as we're just more vocal about developing space for certain conversations. I think there's a lot of stuff when it comes to people's gaming experience, when it comes to people's fighting game experience, that it's just like maybe they held on to it because they know people are going to say, oh, this is soft, or oh, this is whatever, right? Or oh, this is too deep. And so they retreat to, oh, well, who's the best character in the game,
right.
right? And it doesn't have to be that way. Right? So that's the culture we're setting with the Kombocast. If you want to get with it, right? And if you're not feeling it, maybe sometime in the future you'll feel differently. But you're always welcome. And one of the things that we want to do, because I love that the guy brought up honor, right? And we talked about honor before. It's like, man, you have to step away, or you're like just now, your grandma calls, you step outside to take a phone call, you come back, oh man, a match has started, dude's just chilling, just waiting to run the hands.
Yep.
Right? Had a conversation about honor. What does that mean? Right? Should it be present more when it comes to fighting games? How would it benefit us to kind of behave a little bit that way? But there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of different types of conversations like that just haven't been had. And so we want to bring them to the forefront here, which is why we're inviting you guys to get in the comments. And if there's something that we haven't talked about, if there's something that you would like for us to kind of break down in a section of the Kombocast, for just, we're obviously just people willing to put ourselves on camera, put our voice on camera, edit it together, and throw it on social media. You may not necessarily be like that, but you may want to also be able to facilitate and join that part of the conversation. So I want to start having a section where we just look at you guys' comments and stuff that you feel like are either underrated discussions about fighting game culture, fighting game players, all of that different stuff. So just look through our videos, look at the type of discussions we've been having, and think, man, what might be a good addition to that? Or what might be an underrated discussion, maybe something that we've totally missed.
Yeah,
and
true.
And we want to bring that as part of the Kombocast. So with that being said, man, we appreciate y'all hanging out with us and continuing to just, one thing I want to say again, like, I know that there's a lot of people out there who have been supportive of what we've been talking about and how we've been bringing it to the forefront. We may have spent a lot of time talking about, a few people who have been toxic or whatnot in the comments, but there's been a lot of good feedback on people just saying, hey, like, you guys are saying some real shit. And we want to continue, and we want to be able to amplify your voices in that as well. So leave us comments.
Yeah, thank you guys for that. We appreciate it. We don't miss those.
Yeah.
We don't.
Leave comments. Let us know the different type of topics that you guys want to talk about, questions that you may have, things that are underrated, things that don't get talked about enough. And don't be afraid to go deep. Don't be afraid to be a little bit vulnerable with the conversation.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to say, hey, man, I'm showing up as a human to this discussion. And this is how I'm feeling about what our experiences are in fighting games. Because I think we can be better.
Absolutely, man.
I think we can grow. And I think we can get to that point where, like, yeah, I know we talk about, like winning isn't everything. But I think everybody kind of gets that narrative somewhat. But just doesn't necessarily always get, like, you're in control of your experience. right? Just like I talk about with Sparking Zero, I knew that the experience that I wanted from Sparking Zero was going to be most achievable by playing with my friends. And I focused on that, right? And so it's this idea that you can be in control of so much of your experience. And a lot of it comes down to having different conversations like this, learning about changes in mindset and mentality. Because a lot of people only ever have been able to adopt the mentality of the people around them. And some of those people may have been toxic. Some of those people may have been mean. Some of those people may have been overly competitive.
Bullies.
And some of those people, some of those people may have been bullies. And so we want to show something else. So with that being said, I have been Grown B. Leave your thoughts and stuff in the comments.
X Flow, appreciate y'all.
And we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you guys.